Well, all right, you laid it down, you said it. Things can start to look very, very different for everyone else. I mean, at this point, they do have the momentum in their sails. Who is going to be able to go ahead and change things up? It really just comes down to high ground being fought after and fought for. And that's just not what we've been able to see so far. Teams here at this drop spot of Fencing Fields, the potential is so high for folks like Muzz and Paper, Acorn and Cold, but none of them have been able to get their footing here so far. As I say that, Peterbot, let's not forget they are contested at the Grim Gate. He finds Neko in the feed immediately. So someone is trying to change fate. Doesn't seem like it's working.
Well, he might have actually just lit Neko up from the sky, if anything. Peterbot Pollo probably touching down first at Grim Gate, and considering that they like to land on that God chest, and they have had it uncontested so far here today, DMR might have been the reason why Neko finds himself cut short before he can land at his spot north of the underworld. Tough stuff, though, for Xavi and Neko, but a realistic opportunity, I think, for Xavi to be able to pick Neko up at least. It really just all depends on how things boil down on that northwest side of the map, but Fencing Fields just continues to be a relatively difficult POI to fight out of. Curly, early elimed by Muzz. Slurp Truck also going to be claimed one more time by Muzz and Paper. Now it's entirely up for Race, see if he can bring things back to life here for Curly, but given that there are several other teams contesting at Fencing Fields, it's a tall task to ask for.
Looks like we got a little fight breaking out here between Cease, Jack, and Bacon. TK already eliminated to the hands of Jack here. You can see the point added up. Just outside the restored reels, does look like there are a couple duos lingering, but folks are moving away from this area. So Jack and Cease have all the time in the world right now to hunt down Bacon, and then finish looting this drop spot. I was just talking about actually Cold, Muzz, and Paper, and it looks like Cold just knocked Paper in the feet as well. As we're seeing the restored reels hunt go down. Let's take a look at that replay really quickly. Cold and Acorn finding Paper here on the Fencing Fields. I mean, if you do your research, you know that they're going to go for the Slurp Truck every single time to the west here. So great ambush by Cold and Acorn there.
Yeah, just no chance. Similar to what we witnessed from Bacon. He almost won that exchange up against the likes of Jack and Cease, but Cease will manage to close things out. So he'll bring Jack, revive, no problem. It's also something to keep in mind, though. Baka and Pars, they have a tendency to rotate late towards restored reels. Jack and Cease definitely stretched kind of thin there at the restored reels. So if Baka and Pars are quick enough with it, they might have a chance to eliminate Cease and Jack with how low their HP was. The restored reels, not exactly an easy POI to split resource-wise. TK and Bacon might have taken enough of the goods to put a damper on the outcome there for Cease and Jack overall.
Jumping back on over with Blake and Macwood at the Grand Glacier. School and Thorin have seemingly controlled the pace of the action here for quite some time, as Blake and Macwood haven't jumped out of their low ground position just yet. But finally now the fight's starting to break out. School, all that time lurking above, staring and watching, they haven't really found his footing with materials, so I do wonder what has been going on here, as this has been a bit drawn out here for, I think, Blakewood, Max liking, or Schools and Thorix for that matter.
Yeah, School just trying to break the building at this point for any sort of materials. Blake, similar situation though, just posted up inside of this bush bomb. It's going to provide him just a little bit of coverage. Right side pink could be difficult for Thoric, but both of these duos, MDF, as you already highlighted, practically no builds to work with. They're lucky that they're by themselves currently at the Grand Glacier, because if a third party came into play, it would really cause some problems for both of these teams. Blake had an initial advantage, but School kept most of his HP intact, and now Blake Macwood can get pushed further back. They don't have anything left to break, though, in comparison to Thoric and School, so these 4 builds left now for School and Thoric could be what they need. Mac, we're gonna jump in first. Blake trying to see if he can close things out. Knocks both ways, but the banana might be the difference maker here for School.
Oh, but no, he missed the med kit. He gets back just in time with the med kit. This is going to be a full reset for both sides. Games, School here trying to pop the minute he does that. He does have the mats as well, gets his elimination. Now he's got the additional siphon material here as well, and Blake has all the pressure on right here. One cone separates him from School. Time is definitely not on his side here. And the shot is good for School. Finishing things up here, and man, so unfortunate for Blake and Macwood, who after game 1 were basically in that top 10, top 5. But the last 2 rounds, man, being contested here, you see it can really go any which way.
Might have just been a temporary victory, though, for Thor, considering that we saw Chimp and Scissor closing in on their position at Grand Glacier. Miro now a little bit beat up, trying to win this exchange in the 1 versus 2. Sigma is going to be the first to get knocked. Miro making sure that he goes to the full elimination. Decade trying to do what he can to stop that from happening. And sure enough, Miro, he just doesn't have enough HP to want to directly challenge any further. Will find a banana, though. Good looks by Dukes. But Decay, just such a distinct health advantage. He's going in for the immediate pressure. Doesn't want to allow an opportunity for Miro to look for that revive. And in fact, Dukes fully eliminated now. But it could be Chubbs, it could be Aviv that might actually save Miro in the process. All these shots being fired have drawn the attention now of this third party, and Chubbs Aviv definitely much more healthy in terms of their build situation in comparison to what Decay and Sigma are working with. You can see both sides now trying to just keep a low profile. Miro hiding behind one of his cones, hoping that no one tries to target him any further, because with only 2 builds left, MDF find it difficult to believe he'd be on the winning end of that exchange.
Yeah, everyone bouncing out of the location now, so it ends up working out. Miro still keeping high guard, though, not trusting the situation at all. Meanwhile, we jump in with Tyler and Curve, who have just been that underdog team. Popping off today overall. Great performances, consistency has been there for them, and if nothing else, I'm sure they realize that they have everything that it takes to be a top caliber duo, even in the likes of an FNCS lobby with these types of players. So far, so good right now. Shots coming in though. Hold on, that's double trouble for the tags here. Bit of a setback.
Big bush bombs can provide some coverage, but when you get that sniper glint effect from the 4x scope on the Hunter's DMR, it's going to give away your position almost every single time, make it a lot more difficult to stay incognito inside of those bushes.
Man, Lugan Ager's really having a hard time here at Mountain Lippis being contested. This is not the first time we've seen them taking fights deep inside the storm like this either, and this is a different duo. It's Zeus and Pikes now. So constant juggle of attention here at the Mount Olympus.
For Bugha and Agers, though, it's almost a surprise to see them not eliminating Zeus and Pikes, because those have been the 2 most consistent elims that they've been able to acquire all throughout today so far. Peterbot Pollo, though, they just want to keep their run going strong. And it starts here, potentially, with Vatch and Walkers. Peterbot will be the first to disengage, though. Pollo right next to him. A little bit of bush coverage, but it's only because Peterbot and Pollo, they've spotted out a team that they'd rather take their chances with instead. Larson and Oliver OG could be caught in the mix here now. But Peterbot and Pollo, they're trying to be smart about it. They know that they have some heat coming from up above. They don't want to put themselves in an easy-to-eliminate position.
Yeah, I think that's really the reason they gave up this outer edge. The zone revealed itself, and they're like, yeah, no reason for us to stay back here. Let's get a little bit more center. Oliver OG and Larson mindfully are inside the top 10 as well. This is about, I think, the best we've seen Oliver OG perform at the FNCS stage as well. So continuing the pace right now. A lot of teams putting up big numbers for their own personal records. Are concerned. What's happening over here though? Sigma and Decay finding those two elims finally on the edge of the zone, so things come in full circle for them.
Even though they had once backed off from eliminating Miro, it seems as though they were still lurking, trying to prevent Miro from getting that reboot off onto Dukes. Chubbs and Aviv only bought Miro just a little bit of time initially, but Sigma and Decay, they knew this 2 versus 1 advantage, all too easy to capitalize on. They wanted the extra elimination points as well, and they're sure to secure them in lobby number 4, but they still have quite the journey to make. They are pretty far north compared to some of these other teams that are already getting much better positioning inside of the zone.
Aaron and Chance going toe-to-toe against Seek and Dash right now. On the other side, Seek and Dash have been playing quite a couple of good games of Fortnite, if I do say so myself here, coming out of the first 3, racking up 120 points, but Aaron and Chance haven't been doing too bad themselves if they're inside that top 20. And, you know, Re and Ritual has already really flexed and shown us that it only takes one monstrous pop-off game and all of a sudden you are in the conversation. So this is really anyone's opportunity still. Hold up. Big pressure coming in. Seek and Dash having to slow things down for a second, really situate themselves here. Little did they know there's a lot more than just the team they were fighting. If you look at the map, quite a few have already slid on by. So this is it's definitely getting a bit interesting here.
Sometimes all it takes is one really strong placing game to be in that conversation for the top spots of the leaderboard MDF, but as far as Seek and Dash are concerned, they've got a lot of ground to make up for, both in terms of materials and resources, if they want to have that pop-off game, because those loadouts were definitely not in an ideal situation in the slightest. Pollo Peterbot, though, checking back in with our Victor Royale creditors from lobby number 3. And the craziest thing, too, about Peterbot and Pollo's performance so far today is that Peterbot's last FNCS title in Chapter 3, Season 2, these are the exact same placements that he had from that FNCS title here now in Major 2 of Chapter 5 MDF. We are looking at an actual circumstance of history quite literally repeating itself as far as Peterbot is concerned.
Yeah, except it's only better. He's got, I think, more eliminations definitely to show for it as far as his overall performance as this FNCS is concerned. But take a look here. Tyler and Curve land at the Rift Island as well, and we're looking at a top 3, a top 10, first place, and others joining into the Rift Island. This is a heavily stacked Rift Island, and if I had to guess, if you're inside the top 10, if you're inside the top 3, I mean, your ego is peaking right now, so you're likely thinking you can fight anyone who's up here. However, it couldn't be more far from the truth. If you make the wrong move here, you might just be going up against some of NA's best right now. Love what Curve and Tyler are doing right now. You're seeing the foundation, the basics come out here, checking all the bushes in the surrounding area, and they're only 54 damage above, so you know what? I think we're gonna get that fight we were just asking for up against Pollo, who's waiting in the center right now of the capture point.
But there are so many teams currently at the top of Rift Island. Whether or not they actually choose to engage with each other is a different conversation entirely. Right now, Tyler and Curve, they are just purely fixated on teams that are a little bit south of where the Rift Island is at. Obviously towards the low ground, but Tyler and Curve know they've got at least enough space created, 4 boxes built up. So they have the coverage that they need to keep them safe from the other teams on Rift Island. Still need to be wary, though, the potential of one of those other duos looking to just crouch walk towards where their box situation is currently built up at, but Tyler and Curve are definitely feeling very confident. They've just had these wall edges open for so long, taking shots knowing nobody else can return fire.
Yeah, that's huge right there. He finally gets a tag. You know, I was wondering if Tyler and Curve were ever going to find some damage here, as they've had a lot of opportunities, and I'm not seeing enough numbers. But now things are starting to rack up here. Tyler and Curve finding their groove, and hadn't they found those 2 tags, they would be very much the next team to fall below the threshold here. So this is an important turn of events for them right now in game number 4 here to keep them relatively comfortable in this game here. Does seem like Peterbot and Pollo have given up the Rift Island here to look for better prospects at the new zone. Cisa solo right now, trying to do his best to stay alive in this game.
Considering that Cease is the IGL of this duo, he's definitely got a pretty good understanding of how he should be moving as far as successful rotations are concerned. But you can tell he recognizes the fact he's kind of pinched between 2 separate duos. So it's not going to be an easy trek for him by any means. Fixating upon which is the path of least resistance at this point. Kanata and Cooper inside of the Underworld, though. 3 Underworld dashes available for Kanata, but he's got a nice position currently. Decent bit of elevation here. Spotted out a team. Trying to expend a little bit of brick, but back of his walls, immediately getting aggressed upon. And Kanata's already spotted out Z-Link, Zero. They're going to be the ones trying to pose a threat currently to Kanata's current search tower position.
Yamzo rise under pressure right now. Cold and Acorn making a dash here on the outskirts as well. But it's Yamzo who finds himself 59 below the damage threshold here. So this is all trouble right now. Sphinx and Threats eyeing up the base here. Yamzo doesn't want to waste any time on the outskirts. He has to jump in and uses his Underworld dashes to get on top of the base here. Because he has to, not because he really wants to. But he doesn't have a choice. This is all desperate measure. One tag's not going to be enough. And there it is. It was over the moment he was caught in the storm underneath the surge with these types of teams nearby. Cold and Acorn don't even want to stick around. Finally, though, this is the first we've seen Cold and Acorn actually breaking out of the early game into the mids and lates with a lot of damage and enough builds to actually put up some numbers.
The main thing to keep in mind at this point, though, is with the way that the zone is pooling, since it is going north of where Grim Gate is located, all these teams that are a little bit late to the party, they're going to have these Underworld dashes available to them. It's going to be even more difficult for teams that are already low on Surge to actually get tags in. It's so hard to hit players utilizing these Underworld dashes. Cold and Acorn, though, have encountered Walkers and Fetch. They were trying to keep a low profile on the side of the still face, but instead, Cold going to take wind of where Bolts is currently situated. A couple tags applied, and that's going to be enough for Bolts to close off his wall. Cold with the same intent, though, just staying safe inside of his current position.
A lot of updates happening right now, though. Outside of the Cold and Acorn's action on your screen. Hold up, though, Cold. Just keeping up the pace here, not giving us a moment to breathe as he finds an elimination there. And then trying to finish up Bryce as well. Look at that, the quick knock there. Player behind the wall. They are in a world of trouble. I was going to highlight the fact that they weren't quite safe. And right when they wanted to move, all the other teams were deciding to do that as well. And it's going to start adding up right now. After the zone closes, I do believe we're inside the 5-tick territory. There it is. It's starting to add up here now. 2s and 3s. All right, yep, gotta go. Now, do keep in mind, he's under the effects of the mythical banana, so there's only so much damage he can take here. And
but he has no builds.
you know, all those elims and no builds. He has to come down here. What is going on?
It looked as though Fatch as well, Fatch and Walkers likely needed Surge with the way that they were playing so aggressively onto Acorn and Cold's box. But yeah, the fact that even Acorn, he's trying to split his materials, but there's just not enough to really go around. Cold and Acorn have to be so methodical now with where they choose to actually rotate and the little bit of tarping that they can manage. They need an immediate refresh. Kanata found his headshot onto Vert. Can't peek for too long outside of the Surge Tower.
I'm just thinking, like, how many times you got to swing Kanata when you see the light glowing? Like, you know he's looking for it. Kanata ends up hitting the crazy tag, and they're just going right now. 6 eliminations now, though, for Acorn and Cold. When we tuned in the first time, they had 3. That's how much chaos went down in that little skirmish outside the storm. It was 3 Elans worth, but it's placing points they're fighting for now. They need to stay alive as another duo drops here. Otherwise, it'll be all for nothing. This is probably the worst we've seen Acorn and Cold, I feel like, perform as far as overall placement points are concerned. This is the struggle they're having right now. There it is, finally a top 25, top 24. Now the points are gonna start adding up here.
That's only if they can manage to stay standing. Their low material count has definitely warranted some eyes on from other contenders inside of this lobby. Underneath, though, Cold, Acorn, they could have an opportunity. They're gonna drop right in. Rapid, Batman, Booga trying to fight back, trying to build back, but Cold just bearing down inside of this box. Rapid's gonna be the first to get knocked. There's one refresh, but the material count still so incredibly low. Cold has 3 builds to work with at this point, NDF. And the small shield potions are not really going to do them as much favor as you would hope for. They need more resources if they want to keep this one going.
Yeah, still smart play by Cold there, playing around the outskirts, right? Jumping them up to 7 eliminations now. This is still, all things considering, by far their biggest game of the tournament so far. Meanwhile, Peterbot just having a field day with the lobby right now, way ahead of everyone here. He takes down Curve. Curve, who of course was in top 3 with Tyler. So Curve and Tyler finally meet their end earlier than they would have liked here, just at the start of the placement threshold. So Curve and Tyler are gonna give a chance now to the rest of the lobby to start closing it up.
Could be really big for Paco and Mixon. Caught wind of Paco and Mixon playing a little bit more towards the low ground, and as you called out, Curve and Tyler going down. Paco and Mixon have been shoved out of that top 3 after an early departure in the last lobby, so this could be big for them.
Acorn still on the move right now. Oh, but caught on the back of the storm there to the hands of Epic Whale, who needed that. I do think Clips was knocked and taken out as well. Here's Kanata. Cooper, 183 points. Looking to see if they can break that top 200 right now. It's a possibility here. There's a lot of points to be earned here, but Peterbot is one of the few still sniping them up as Convict falls right there. 3 eliminations now for Peterbot. While you're fighting for 200 points, Peterbot is working his way to 300-point threshold here, edging out of game number 4. Meanwhile, Ritual picks up a solid 3. Paco and Mixon have high ground right now, and this could be Paco and Mixon's chance for a top 3 position as well. Back on the standings here, Taco.
But we saw how many materials Peterbot and Pollo had to offer in comparison to Paco and Mixon. Sure, they've got the high ground currently, but how long will they actually hold on to it? Peterbot, Pollo, they were looking up. Last we checked in, it's likely only a matter of time before they try to utilize that aspect of agility. Probably Peterbot just waiting for Pollo. Catch his 3 underworld dashes. Peterbot taking control of the aspect of agility one more time. Immediately towards front side of zone. Tarping ahead now. Trying to get his duo back inside of his boxes with him. And sure enough, Pollo will find himself right next to Peterbot yet again. Bushes getting lit up. Oliver OG dropped immediately. That Mythic Gatekeeper just putting in work right now, and Peterbot's still not done. Wants Larson along with it. Larson just barely managing to escape for the time being, but he might have just been left for grabs for the rest of the lobby at this point.
Yeah, all around just very, very smart play. Nonetheless, Baka is still alive right here. He's just eyeing up anything at this point in front of him. No! Finds Reet, who is desperately trying to find an opportunity there. And then Baka double clutches onto Reet and Ritual with a massive 2-piece elimination pickup there. You can't make this up. What a play.
Actual him moment from Baka. You know that Bars has got to be gassing him up right now from the spectator point of view, but Peterbot, Pollo, they just caught Mixon in the process, and now the high ground completely belongs to them. Baka will finally see his run come to an end here in Lobby 4 at the hands of Aiden, but Kanata and Cooper just in a tough situation. but they've still done a lot in terms of making those placement points come to life.
Yeah, it does seem like it's just a matter of time right now for everyone else here in the lobby. But Aiden still picking up what he can. He's going to find the beat here. Well played, Knott and Cooper trying to snipe up what they can with the points here. They don't have any materials, so this is really a desperate attempt at trying to earn any points possible right now. Meanwhile, of course, Pollo and Peterbot have made their way down from the high ground here, and in the end, they go back-to-back, and they are soaring through the competition here. It is looking like a repeat of the opening weeks of not only the FNCS, but the duo cash cups and lead up to this very moment as well. Peterbot and Pollo just can't be stopped.
There is a reason why the whole of NA and even a lot of the other regions, MDF, have been talking. Word on the streets, Peterbot, Pollo, they are winning this major for FNCS, but at the same time, when they have such impressive finishes, all of their timings have just been so on point since the starting lobby here today. And it's just crazy to think about the point disparity that they have already established here on day one. And that's not even factoring in that point multiplier that's going to come into effect here for day two.
Yeah, the multiplier is quite honestly NA's only hope to, make a dent on the leaderboards here and make a standings. But either way, I'm sure Zeke has got a great reaction for us. So let's toss it over to the desk.